evening and welcome to Inception Podcast. Yes, we're back. And I have an amazing guest to have a conversation with tonight to go through the 8 doors. However, I'd like to just say this podcast can be found on the Forbidden Knowledge News Network, where you will find amazing, inspirational and conscious expanding podcasts and shows. I mean, they are amazing. And the topics are diverse. The content is diverse. There's something for everybody. So do go to the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. And now I've done my professional bit, I'd like to welcome the wonderful Karen to Inception Podcast. In the UK, I'm going to say good evening. What time is it there?
It's good morning here. It's 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock in the morning here.
10 o'clock. I always say to my guests that are on the longest time zone from the UK, I always say, well, I'm in your future and the future's looking good. So I'm preparing the way for you, Karen.
Oh, wonderful.
So when you get here, you know, you're ready. Right. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're just going to have a conversation, no interview. Mm-hmm. We've got that booked for the other shows. And we have 8 doors to go in and to go down the rabbit hole. And it's just to do with our own personal perception. Okay. I know you're fully aware. So we're going to open the first door and I'm going to pose a question to you. What is the human experience? From my truth, which could change at any time, obviously, I am a spiritual or multidimensional being having a human experience. So that's just me condensed. So from your truth, from your perception at this point now, Karen, what is this human experience we are all having?
Well, I can't really speak for anyone else because I actually believe there are many truths, there are many realities, that we live in an omniverse, a multiverse. And so I have many different perceptual realities, let's just put it that way. And I have different states of consciousness. So it depends who you're asking on what day even. But what I do believe is that on the one hand, we're all having our very own unique reality. And that's why it doesn't work when people say, I'm right and you're wrong, because no, from everyone's perceptual reality we're looking out, it's as though we've all come to a fence and it's got different holes at different heights. Yeah. And depending on which hole you're looking through, will give you a different perceptional universe than looking through another hole. So I have taken great comfort in that understanding. But at the same time, Gloria, I actually believe that except for genetics, life experience, we are the same person looking at each other. So it's a real trip because what that means is that a lot of people do a lot of victim playing and a lot of blaming. And really, it's all within us. And if you want to really go down the slippery slope, nothing is real anyway. We have a perceptual arena that we're born with these senses. I say we have 6 senses because I think the 6 senses are part of our intuition and our understanding. So we have that all going on. And in it, you know, we can blame other people, but really, really, we need to look inside and take personal responsibility for the part that we're playing in every negotiation, every interaction.
Okay, so on the back of that, I want to pull you back slightly on this experience now as the human being you are playing the role. Okay, what is it about then? I'm going to come from a different angle with you. So what is it about now? That really, we touch on that in door 3, but we can expand there. So what is this human experience? You've given me, the background of it and what it does and how you perceive that. And I love the fact that we're just looking in the mirror of each other because that's my truth as well. However, and that's like being on drugs. It's like, this is weird. But anyway, apart from that, I always say, if anyone's seen The Matrix, I think it's Matrix 3, Mr. Smith multiplies so many times, but it's the same. And I use that analogy sometimes. So I digress, guys. I'm sorry. I'm getting back to the door. So this human experience, what is it for you, this being, to experience? What is it about? I come in with things like, well, I've come in to experience the 3D polarities, or hot, cold, good, bad, life, death, or things. So on that aspect, could you expand on your human experience from your truth at the moment?
Sure. So I totally get what you're saying. And so what I believe is, so we're born into this reality with 6 basic senses, and then it's our job. I think that we have basically pre-planned what we were going to encounter, what we were going to do. We came with specific purposes, and they may be quite different purposes. And then through time and through experience and exploring our experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly, we open up that other layer of being human that is our birthright. We all have it. And so today, what I would like to say about my experience, now we all have different experiences, and I know you can relate to this, Gloria. We've both had a lot of trauma very young in our lives, and it opened us up to a different kind of reality. But there are many people who can get there without having the trauma, and it comes through self-care and self-love, because the body, my body is my temple. My body has to be at a certain availability, a certain frequency, in order for me to have the kind of life-changing realizations and interactions with other beings that other people may not even be aware of. And so only by taking exquisite care of my body. And I love Mary Magdalene, because she taught me that when you have comfort for the body, when you have happiness in the mind, and when you have joy in your spirit, it's like lining up, ping, 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 boom. We can connect to anything, because time and space is not real. We're so limited. Even our initial 5 senses, which we're taught are the only real ones, which is not, we have 6. We actually take in data, and we form in our perceptual arena, in our minds, what is reality. So we all have very, very different realities. But as for me, a large part of what my human experience is, it was to jump through the hoops, go through the experiences, learn to heal myself, learn to make those connections. And then, of course, my job is to teach other people to do the same thing. Now, a lot of people think, oh, well, if I just do the right chant and have the right crystal, I'll ping, ping, ping. No, it starts with the body temple. We have to heal and revitalize the body temple. So today I'm going to speak. I've spoken on many different levels, but I rarely speak from a real human physical 3D experience and how that ties into everything else. So that's sort of where I'm coming from today.
That's beautiful. And that's what I would like you to do, because the whole point is we start off with speaking from the Homo sapiens sapien, because obviously we're still here, we're still part of. I loved your explanation there. And I normally, when I talk, you call it the temple. We've all got different terminologies. It doesn't matter. Some will resonate with some and some with others. And about doing the work, I can't reiterate this enough. And I say it on every show, it's about doing the work on the self, on the human experience. It is as if that is the purpose, to experience, to do the work and release. It's like that. It just seems just like that. And on this, you can't, I agree with you. The chanting, well, I don't know about other people, but chanting never worked for me. It was like, instead of the dark night of the soul, it was decades of the dark night of the soul. And it keeps going. It's not so intense now, but it just keeps going, and the peeling away and the peeling away. So I love that answer. That was beautiful. Now we've gone into the first door. We've shut the door. We're going through the second door. We're going right down the rabbit hole. We're camping out down the rabbit hole now. On the back of what you've just said about, you said, I am having this human experience. I'm going to ask you, who am I? Who is this I? Who is this I? You know where I'm going with this. Who is this I that is having this human experience? So we say, well, who am I?
That's a really good question. That's a really good question. On the back of all of that, who am I? That would be easier to say, what am I, than who am I? But who am I? The who behind it all is the who that's behind all of us. And so my belief in God, I totally believe in God or the goddess or whatever you want to call it. They're different aspects of the same energy field, which includes me, includes the biome I was born into. So I wasn't just born, people think, oh, I was born, this is my mother, this is my father. No, I was born into a much bigger cohesive group, a family that includes the bugs, includes the fish, includes the birds, includes the grass and the flowers and the weeds and the ocean and the mountains. Mm-hmm. And then going out from there, it includes our solar system and every planet in it. It's intimately connected and onto the whole universe. That is who I am. And because of that, it's so beautiful when we stop going to external sources for support and wisdom and go into the internal, we can go anywhere and we can do anything. There is no time and space. So what's really interesting is we want to go to outer space. We do that by going within. Isn't that a trip?
I know. I totally understand where you're coming from. I love that response. And as you know, when I was saying it, it just makes me smile, because sometimes I think, I'm so fed up playing the human. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I've won the Oscars, I've got the awards, so now I just smile. And sometimes I ask questions and I go, oh, God, that sounds so logical, because But however, it has to be done. We're still in it. We're still experiencing it. That was perfect. So door number 3, we've gone round. We're just like a little snake, tunnel after tunnel, and we're going round and round, and we're going through door number 3. Now, door number 3, we've already touched upon it, the concept of it, and which is, well, why am I here? So we've touched on that. I've come in to have this human experience. However, because that normally happens on this podcast, the guest is just so on the ball. They answer all the questions before I go through them. We don't have that here, guys, do we? No, we don't. So I make the guests expand even more, and I chip away and I dig it out. So
I can go in any direction.
I know you can.
It's all fractal. It's all fractal.
I know you can.
I have myself a nubby ball. That's how I see reality. So it's all fractal from a central point. So I can go anywhere you want, Gloria.
That's brilliant. And I knew you could. So we're on that door number 3. We're camped down now. We're in this room. I'm on the bed. You can sit on the floor, get a chair. I'm having a coffee. I'm having a cake, and I'm going to sit back and listen to your response when I say, well, why am I here? Now, I will just condense mine as for my truth, and that's just my truth. I'm here experiencing this for self-realization. That's just me. Easy way of saying it. I'm giving these one-liners now. Sound a bit too much like Sonia, because she does that, and I have to drag it out of her. I'm not saying no more, and they go, no. From your truth, why are you here? Why are you on here doing what you're doing? You consciousness, you the divine, you whatever terminology's in there. Can we expand on the fact that we're going through self-realization, or any more? Have you got?
Oh yeah. So it took me a long time to find my purpose. And I was always worried because I didn't know what my purpose was. And I knew it was more than taking care of narcissists and narcissistic relationships. Let's just leave it at that. A lot of people are going, oh yeah, we know what that's like, right? Okay. That was not my purpose. And so if that wasn't my purpose, what was my purpose? It took a long time. And I was a tough nut to crack because I was so afraid. And I was so afraid of everything. It took a long time. But anyway, I was so happy when I found out my purpose. And so my purpose is encapsulated in what I'm about to say. But think of it as an umbrella for a whole lot of other things that came after that understanding. So I found out that my purpose for being here is to learn to love and allow myself to be loved in return. That simple. That simple. And I went, I can do that. I can do that. I was so excited. I can do that because, you know, I've been serving people all my life. So,
no issue there.
Pardon?
There's no issue there. You've been doing it all your life. Yeah. I mean, it really is a given, because when you get to that stage and you say, well, that's quite simple, I do that anyway. But we actually don't recognize. However, I will say, loving this statement to love yourself, I'm not throwing it out there blandly. It's a belief that it's difficult to do it. However, coming from the juxtaposition of the Homo sapiens sapien, there are some hurdles, because I'm like yourself. I don't believe you can say to someone, you've got to learn to love yourself. And they go, what the fuck? How do I do that? I've done this wrong. I've done that. So there's more to that. This really is not the show. We're not specifically going to digress off that. But yes, to that for me is part of my truth. To love was never an issue. But in my past, to love myself was the issue. And until I recognized and where then beliefs were coming from and the causation. So I have to hold it there, because I know me and you will go off, transgress somewhere else and cause havoc. So I'm not going to do it. Okay. Well, now we're going to go to door number 4. In door number 4, I think we best just camp out and just, turn the phones off, because I would like from your truth an expanded viewpoint, truth. What is this reality? Now, there are many labels from different experiences. I'm going to call us all experiencers, because that's what we are, just to give it a label. Simulation, holographic universe, the matrix, the dream world. And I mean, I use multiple analogies to try and express it. From your truth, what is this reality of polarity and hard and soft? What is it? Is it, are we in a game? Are we in a simulation? Are we in a dream? Are we, from you, what is this we're in?
Well, on a very fundamental level, it's a training field. It's a training field for soul evolution.
Okay.
But a lot of people spend a lot of time up in the upper echelons of reality, and they don't spend much time right down in the 3D. And that's what I was born to be in, is the three-dimensional. So my reality is what's picked up by my 5 senses. And that is not an easy thing for a lot of people, because we're extremely addicted to our technology.
Yeah.
And all kinds of other addictions. There's no point going down that rabbit hole. We'd never get out.
Yeah.
So what's happened is people are not really seeing with their physical eyes. They're not really hearing with their physical ears. They're not understanding their own language and root meanings behind the words they're using. We live in a highly symbolic reality that's here to teach us. But if we're not willing to pay attention and learn, we're going to miss it. It's all going to go out the window. Let me give you a brief example. You go out for a walk, and it's good to be out in nature. Mm-hmm. And so you see some beautiful trees and some grass, and you sit down on the grass under a tree. If you sit there long enough, you realize no two trees are the same. So suddenly we've gone from, that's a group of trees, to individual, live individual beings. They may not be mobile. They may not think in complex terms the way we do, but they're definitely beings and they're diverse. And then you look at the grass, you notice that no two blades of grass are the same. And you listen to the songs of birds, and every bird has its own beautiful song. And you look at the grass, and if you look long enough, sooner or later you see a little bug, maybe a little ant carrying a little twig, and he's going across, and you kind of laugh because there he is just doing his work. Then you see a little wood bug come out and he's doing the similar thing, and they're all living in harmony. They're not competing, they're not killing each other. They're living in harmony and in peace, and they are part of a reality that I'm also a part of. But if I'm not listening, and if I'm not sitting still, and if I'm not putting down my phone, I'm missing all of that. And that is a core essential ingredient of my reality. So then you take it to the next level. I'm taking in data from all my different senses, and I'm processing it in my own mind. And our mind is actually technology, our mind's eye from the pineal gland. Your pineal gland is actually got everything that your eye has, rods and cones, and it emits these little gases that produce hallucinations. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing everything through our filters, through a hallucination process. But that technology is what links us to our higher self and to all the different levels of the higher being that we are. And that is why ever since, like, we've been around here a lot longer than what our history books are saying. And this is why the elites who are psychopaths have done everything to shut us down right from the get-go, because we are these powerful, amazing, creative beings. Now, with psychopathy, they don't have empathy. They don't have original thought. They don't have creativity. They just follow the same mindless, clock-like bullshit that they've been doing throughout all the time. So I know I'll stop there because
you're going one. You can do.
I see things in very fluid terms. I don't see things as static. This is or that is. I see where they're all going and where they're all coming from. So again, getting back to the temple body and self-love, that is so critical, because until we start to choose to eat real food, not processed foods, we stop toxifying our bodies, stop toxifying our minds, and start becoming full-fledged, real human beings as part of this incredible ecosystem, which is a part of everything else. It starts with me and me taking responsibility, not running to the doctor and wanting a pill to make it all go away real fast. And believe me, I did that for years and years and years. I prevented my wake up with everything I could throw at it to stop it, because I was scared of it. I didn't know what the hell was going on, and there was no one I could talk to about what was going on.
No, I love that response. I want to go back to, I think there's a relevant part of that is when you gave the analogy of sitting out and looking at the trees and the different trees and the different blades of grass and whatever. And as you were talking, it was just coming into me. Imagine if we taught that in nursery school. Imagine if we taught, in the education system to notice these things straight away, and the richness and the diversity and how we are so connected. We don't want to tell them then we are the only conscious beings that rape, murder, abuse, and do. We don't want to tell them that yet. However, the non-judgment and the richness and the diversity, and it's all alive. It's consciously alive. So I just wanted to throw that in, guys. Wouldn't that be wonderful to put that, into preschool, just to teach them, take them out and say, see that tree, look at that, and using, especially with young children, the development, the sensory perception to touch and sense, and they were so attuned at that age, they've picked that up. So I just wanted to throw that out. Anybody in the education system, that would be a good start for the next phase. So it's just a thought from me. Okay, now we're going into door number 5, and we've basically spoken about our consciousness. Okay. So now we're going to step outside, but still contained in our 3D reality. And I emphasize 3D, Newtonian laws. who is ET? Now, when I say ET, that's an umbrella. It could be angels, it could be greys, it could be reptilian, it could be anything, all of the above, the paranormal. Now, they're in our 3D reality. Who are they in relation to our role as a Homo sapiens sapien, from your truth?
Well, from my truth, the universe, if you want to go to our external environment, the universe is unimaginably humongous. Even our galaxy, if you do some research on how big our galaxy is, even our star clusters in between galaxy and solar system, it's unimaginably vast. And there are beings that have been evolving for billions and trillions of years. There are beings who've been evolving for hundreds of years. There's all the diversity is there. And so, and then there are different layers of our reality that, because we have chosen to come here in a physical body, and have 6 senses, the 6 senses actually takes in the 5 senses and then gives us body sensations and feelings to help us to navigate. So if you want to go to the very, very, beings that have been evolving for trillions and trillions of years, I believe they're probably spirit creatures, they're guardians, they're angels, things like that. The group that I participate in, they're intergalactic. They are at our next level or our next stage of development. They're not that far ahead of us. They look like us. They have diversity, same way as the humans have diversity on planet Earth, but they are our next state of evolution. So for instance, they don't use words. Words are a great source of misunderstanding. Talk about the bullshit, especially since words have been weaponized by the elites. So when you are psychic, and they, by the way, they have the ability to run thought privately or publicly, or a select few. They even have the ability to shield their children from certain beings and thoughts and things. That's how amazing they are. But they are a love-based community. And it's so beautiful and so hard to come back here and deal with the insanity. It's really difficult. But anyway, that's who they are. They're very physical. So there are also beings from our solar system and from our star cluster that I'm not really familiar with, but I validate because enough people have come forward and said, yes, these are my experiences. Now, the ones that are closest in dimensional frequency and reality to us are the ones that are screwing up the most too, which is interesting. Once they get to a certain point and they just realize nothing works outside of the love harmonic, then they change. But in the meantime, they have free will, we have free will. So then there's also interdimensional beings. And then there is also beings that we can't see, that have lived on Earth for thousands and thousands of years and affect us negatively and positively. Then there's all our ancestors. We have access to all of this if we choose to. All our ancestors and God knows what else. So ET is a huge, huge concept. Some people think it means grays. Well, it could, but it's so much more. And I don't know, I've taken you down another big...
No, that's fine. No, I love it because I am... Excuse me. I was out today in the weather. I love it because I don't like using words anymore. And obviously on the shows, I keep saying, when I listen to another share that, I thought, well, that's a new way of saying it, because words are becoming useless. It seems like, and I was smiling away there because obviously I've experienced communication through telepathy, and it's like, excuse the pun, it's mind blowing. It's like so easy. It's just, there's no effort, and it's just natural. And so I digressed again, I know, but I knew I would with Karen. Too much in common here. But no, that was wonderful. So door number 6, we've shut door number 6 behind us. We've already touched upon this, and that is we look at how are we then connected to them. But to me, there's a parallel answer. Could go either way. We know we're connected by consciousness. They are, we are, different shapes and form. On the other side, again, I say, because they are, not all of these beings are in the 3D reality. They are not interacting, not all. But there are a certain group that are in the 3D reality interacting with us. Now, some people say, well, we're connected via the Homo sapien sapien DNA, or we're connected by a bloodline, or we are them, they are us from the future coming back. And I mean, there's many. So from that timeline, from that perspective, how are we then connected to them? Because they specifically connect with certain Homo sapiens sapiens. There is definitely, I mean, the data's there, and it's normally for a lifelong, as in my case, it's lifelong. So the question has to be posed, and what would you extrapolate from that? Anywhere you want to go with this, Karen, what is the connection?
Well, the connection is everywhere and everything and in every way. We've been taught not to see it. You know, it's so funny how they talk about dark matter and dark space, and we don't know what it is. That's where they hide the cables, guys. That's where they hide all the wires that connect us. But seriously, any of us can go within. Well, first of all, when we're truly grounded in our bodies, when we're truly grounded and connected to the earth, anything is possible. So when we form a protection by doing that, then we reach out. And if we want, like when I first started out, it was angels, then fairies and those kind of beings. Yeah. And I saw the great wisdom in the teachings that they had to teach me, because I came out of, pretty hardcore, what I would call Christianity. Mm. And so I was taught, because I kept shutting myself down all my life, because I kept being told, those are demons. Those are demons. Shut yourself down. Yes, the only thing that works is the word of God. And then all of them have different interpretations of what the word of God says, right? Yes. And it's just another flippant power play, in my opinion. So I had to wake up to all of that. And then I had to wake up to different levels of reality. So it's up to us. We're in the driver's seat. And so we get to pull in whatever and whoever we want, and we get to cast out anything that doesn't make us happy, doesn't, anything like, for instance, there are beings that feed off of our negative emotions. And so, and I've had problems with this all my life.
Do you mean Homo sapiens sapiens? They're the ones I identified that feed off that was a joke there. I mean, you can recognize it. Coming in to say, though, sorry to interrupt you, but if these other beings are in our duality, as we have I call them negative Nellies, or the positive Pollies, because I hate talking it, it's a little. If we're going to have it with Homo sapiens sapien, which we can see are energy vampires, you want to call them that, whatever, and to bring us lower, there's going to be a polarity with these beings if they're in the 3D polarity. If they're experiencing, I'm not talking about the different dimensional bit, but there's got to be, I haven't experienced them. However, there's the other people's truths that they have, and you've just spoken about beings with it, that it has to exist by default, because we're in 3D reality. And what is a 3D reality? It's got to be polarity experience, nothing else. So I just threw that one in there. I find this really interesting. Sorry, I hope I haven't thrown you. Do go on.
No, it's all good. So basically, these beings, feed off of negative emotions, and so they can form lifelong relationships with people and feed them misinformation, so that love is not happening, that love is not shining. But we have a choice. And the funny thing about it, legends say that when we deny them their food, that's when the great beings of our universe wake up. Because as long as we're feeding them, they stay asleep, and they need us to stay asleep, because they're evolving too. Now, as far as energy vampires go, Oh yeah, there's all kinds. And that's what your sixth sense is for. When you're around certain people and you feel really tired after spending time with them, or you feel a little bit confused about your reality or your self-confidence dips, stay away from those people. I don't care who they are. Now, I got to also admit, in all honesty, that I grew up in a highly psychopathic family. And so it was very hard for me to step away from them because the world is also cruel. And it's almost like a revolving door. One psychopath, you get rid of them, and there's another one that comes around. Because it was my life lesson to learn to believe in myself, reject that type of energy. So it doesn't matter where it's coming from. If it makes you feel bad about who you are, you don't owe anybody a goddamn thing. You owe it to you. And that gets back to self-love as being the key. Most people don't know how to love themselves. I can remember I was really depressed one time and I went to see a psychiatrist, right? The doctor says, baby, you better see a psychiatrist. I go see the psychiatrist. He says, so what do? I says, oh, I teach people how to love themselves. He went, right. She teaches people how to love herself. Like, it was just complete. And I went, my lesson from that is don't ever go back. Run, Karen, run. Don't go back. They're not good for you. They're not good for your temple. They're not good for your evolution. And this whole system has been set up, I think, with challenges so that we'll wake up. So we'll go, okay.
I agree. I mean, I think what we're experiencing, everything that we do experience, is just for self-realization. That's the whole point. I think, I can't say I'm doing a Sonia here. That's it. However, see, this is because it's, anyway, we could go to telepathy, me and you, but we won't do it now because, I just don't know about the translation. No, seriously. What you've just spoke about and how we're connected to them, I've heard many times before that it would by default also be that they are, let's use the terminology evolving, because I have a truth that it's not just the individual evolving, it's the planet evolving, it's every conscious being, item, rock, volcano, sun, moon, stars, go out. It's a whole, and one part could not evolve or expand without that. So I do hear people say, well, I'm awakened and I need to teach you, and it won't happen unless you do boom, 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 boom. And then I think, well, if you understand self-realization, that's not the case. That is so not the case. You have the understanding that even the negative Nellies or the arseholes, you're looking at them, that's for you. They're waking up because you brought that negative Nelly in your face to press your buttons. It's a bit like, some of the laws that are out today, they're so illogical, it doesn't. So I liked how you raised that as well, and you raised it in a real good way. I'm just loving this conversation. It just makes me, I'm just permanently, I'm going to have cheesecake by the time I finish with you. Okay, I'm going to take you to door number 7. Such a light-hearted, beautiful conversation. Now, this question, obviously these are what we call generic questions, because every conscious being that comes on the show is at different levels on their path. So I have to ask generic questions. This in door number 7, when I ask, well, why are they here? I always preempt that with, I know they've always been here. We've got evidence, obviously, of that. But it does seem in present times, they're here, their contact with the Homo sapiens, sapien 3D experience is exasperated to a degree that even what we call Joe Blogs is experiencing something. So why are they here in such, I don't want to say numbers, I want to say in interaction, or permeating with us on an individual basis than they've, as far as our recorded history has been? because we're hearing now there's these what we call downloads, another word I don't like, information coming in. But it doesn't matter if you say it's coming from the higher self or from, but we are in a 3D polarity. They are there, we are here, so we've got to experience it. But why in the masses now, do you think? What's the reason now?
Well, again, I only have complex answers. I wish I had simple ones. So I'm not good at putting things in a nutshell. But let me just tell you that I know right now, I did a little astral. I have a friend that I astral travel with, and we meet in the ether, and we go someplace together, and we talk about things, and it's real cool because in the astral form you can eat cake and do whatever you want. It's just so much fun, and we're like kids going on a picnic together. Anyway, so I saw my friend. I said, "Hi, how are you? Let's go." And he had his picnic basket. It never has food in it. It has a blanket and has one of his books in it. Anyway, and we were going to go to and sit on the moon because we like to sit on the moon and look it down on the earth when we do that. And all of a sudden we realized how many ships and diversity of ships were in our immediate atmosphere. I was shocked. I mean, yeah, you hear about it, but you know, I actually saw it. It was immense. So they're building up to something. Something big is coming, and I don't exactly know what it is, but I know they're there. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Now, as far as any being, whether it's 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 100th dimensional, it cannot interfere with your life unless you let it. Mm-hmm. The other thing is there is a prime directive. So most groups of ETs follow a prime directive, which means we have to initiate contact. I'm a big fan of Dr. Stephen Greer and his CE5 movement. I recommend people go and do that. And so what happens is we can reach out. So when I was in a terrible state of mental health and physical health, I reached out, started with angels, and then I realized that I had input as to who I could even have as on my soul team. So like, for instance, if I needed help with strategy, so I called on Sun Tzu. There's all these ancient learned beings we can call on. There's angels, there's fairies. But when it gets to a strictly sort of an ET idea here, we have to ask them for help. We have to say, we're natural citizens of this natural planet. And what's going on is, yes, we can all come together and we can fix this ourselves, which is their hope, right? But we need some help here. And then the other thing to remember is our elite system has also reverse engineered so many craft that a lot of people without a trained eye wouldn't know what's actually ET and what's domestic. And the domestic stuff is up to no good. Even more than that, they want to discredit the legitimate extraterrestrials and interdimensionals. I mean, there's a lot of overlap. Even with angels, there's a lot of overlap with everything, right? So anyway, why are they here? They are here as observers, because what happens is pardon my language, but the shit storm that's going on planet Earth, they cannot, you hear about the super space program and all this, but the truth of the matter is Earth humanoids are under quarantine. Can you imagine? Look at the history of this planet, how they went out and conquered and destroyed cultures and stole everything and made up lies, and they're still doing it today. Do you really think advanced races are going to let us spread that infection all over the universe? If you watch Star Trek and you're familiar with the Borg, that is what we would be faced with. Well, that'll never happen. So they are guardians. And they are watching, and they're also watching because you see, once this issue gets settled, really settled, and it's an issue of sovereignty, personal sovereignty, global sovereignty. Once that issue gets solved, it can be used as an example for other solar systems and galaxies and other places. And like I said, this is a very, very big place. And so the issue has to be settled. Now, there are some beings who are, for lack of a better term, I will say insane, who think they can operate outside of the love harmonic, who have had some negative interactions with world leaders that are doing some really sketchy, shady shit. And they're going to get dealt with, and they are being dealt with. They'll all bring themselves down, ultimately, is what's going to happen. So there's a small pocket of ones that are not here for our best interests. Most of them are our brothers and our sisters and our cousins, and they're so lovely. Now, they're very different than us, and you'd have to watch one of my other podcasts to learn more about that. There isn't space here, but they're fascinated by the way Earth people, humans, want to make meaning out of everything. We want to make meaning out of it.
Yeah. I'm
a lot of them, they don't make meaning out of anything. There's no need to. It is what it is. It's either love-based or it's not. We're all working on our programs, trying to become better beings. It's really a sweet, well thought out system, but most people are not hearing about it, not seeing it because of censorship and discrediting. And then, of course, there's going to be I believe, a fake alien invasion that's going to kill off a whole bunch of humans.
I was going to touch on that because as you were talking, it was coming in and it was like, I don't know if this is true or not, but I have an awareness over the past year, and I'm aware. Anyway, is that this increase in interaction with the human being, Homo sapiens sapien, and I'm going to try and find words to describe this. It's just going to be ridiculous, but it's because of a possible timeline that could occur, because of that possibility, an experiencer who interacts with these beings, okay, I'll try and get this out. Help me out, guys. When we experience them, we experience this, we can only describe it as unconditional love. So we read the energy, just as if you went in a shop and there was a negative Nelly or energy vampire, vroom, you recognize that. So they're permeating our consciousness. So we are becoming very familiar to what we as Homo sapiens call ET. Now I'm trying to get this out, and that is for if the possible, because there's many timelines that could occur depending on our choice. If that occurs, then a false flag would be a waste of time, because an experiencer, we are sensory beings. So we actually work on the sixth sense and whatever we sense. So we would know. You wouldn't need, if someone said there's a UFO and it's shooting rays, I'm sorry, I'm not being egotistic. I would read it. I'm a psychic medium as well. So throw that one in. I would sense. And if they come close, their vibration, you sense it. So how does that sound as a possible? It would work, would it not? If theoretically, absolutely, it would work, and that would work. It sounds like I'm saying would work, and that is why our ET brothers and sisters want us to wake up and take control. Yes. But I got to tell you, if what you just said were possible for the masses of humanity, we wouldn't be in the mess we're in right now. People would know that there's medical intervention being forced on people right now that is not only bad for their health, could kill them, but is going to render their spiritual parts of their brain and body so they don't work anymore. These people are so hyped up on fear and addicted to fear. Their job is to calm down, wake up, challenge the fear, and take responsibility. Now, most humans are not doing that. And I don't know why, but I just keep hoping if we keep making these podcasts, we'll rub off on somebody, and eventually people are going to go, hey, if Gloria and Karen aren't afraid, we don't need to be afraid either. And that's another thing, is we're elders, we're grandmothers, we're elders. And so so what are they trying to do? They're trying to get rid of all of us old people, so that because loose lips sink ships and they want to zip us all up. Well,
there are a lot of seniors out there that are just, I think, wasting their time on earth. And I know that's a judgment. I know that's my opinion, but they're all into the casino and everything else and backbiting and all this stuff. And I'm going, wow, this is the most amazing opportunity for us to reach the world as elders, tell the truth. And our truth resonates with the elders of every single cultural group on this planet. And so we are so powerful. No wonder they burned us at the stake.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, now we know why we were burnt at the stake. However, when I look at those, that's their path, their journey, and they've chosen to experience that. What I have noticed recently, and I've said this on another podcast recently as well, used the word recently in the same sentence. I do apologize, my grammar's suffering, is many that have gone through this process, it's taken to go through the fear process. Then they're told to do something else and they go, hold on, what the fuck? Hold on a minute. Stop. Pump the brakes. What did you just say after what I've just done? And now I got this and that, and boom. So each of us come in with a script to self-realization from the Homo sapiens perspective. And that's just the way, it's their reality. However, the more that I've chosen my reality of, well, it's a Monty Python film in my eyes, I am not in it. And I'm looking through a window of seeing another timeline. Sometimes I pop in the timeline. I did today, I went out, I popped in, and that's why I'm coughing, because they're building and the dust and I went and met one of my children and did a bit of shopping, and I want to go home. I want to go home. It was like, you don't know, we're not locked down in UK. We're free to do what we want. But I want to go home. It's because I have this perception of, and the potentiality of that each individual conscious being has a choice of any timeline they choose. And just because another chooses that timeline, it's okay. I'm sure back in my human experience, I'm sure I chose many wrong paths. They were called relationships. I kept doing it. When someone says, don't do it with this one. No, I know I know narcissism. No, boom, you're back in it again. So I just see it. They're just going along, and they don't bother me and I don't bother them. But I do see, a gap now. And it's a gap that was, at one point, it was a little gap. And I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But now there's a total disconnect. However, I'm seeing it as if I'm seeing it through a screen. And if I need to pop into that timeline, I will. But I don't resonate with the timeline. Wherever I am, I have no fucking idea where I am at the moment. More like loopy land, but hey ho, it's really weird what's going on. So I see it that way with the other beings. But I've said it on many shows, Karen, for my truth, and I'm not saying it is the truth, it's my truth, we've already done it. And I spoke on another show the other day of the 7 moves and how I perceive what's the end game now. You've got 2 chess players, 2 really famous, let's call them Russian because they are the best. And they've got 7 moves left, and it's checkmate. It's obvious it's going to lose. So you've got the winner knows I've won, and the loser knows, oh shit, I'm going to lose this. But what the loser will do, will drag it out, play it out, because the audience, humanity, is watching. And getting emotional and, I support this one and I support that one. But in fact, the game's over. We've already done it. Nothing. For my truth, there is only consciousness. I don't care. You could have 20,000 Hitlers going around the place. There's only consciousness. And the whole point is of self-realization. For me, you play the role, you play the game. You have to take responsibility. You're in it. So there's responsibility with choices. You don't sort of sit back and, what some people do, they sit back and they're quite complacent. No, you need to be brave. You need to have courage. You need to speak only the truth and do the work on yourself. But that's how I see at the moment, it could change at any time. You know, a big foot could come out the sky from the Monty Python film, and you know, it's that ridiculous at the moment. How can I've got to ask you, Karen, because we're at the close of the 8 doors. Some of the things that humans are being told to do are so illogical. They are, I've used this before too, they are as illogical as if I asked you, Karen, could you please tell me the sex of a tuna sandwich? Mm-hmm. They're so illogical. And, you know, I asked someone this morning, who's qualified as a psychologist, I said, could you explain to me how they don't see it? And she said, I have no idea. That has fazed me even. So what can I say?
Well, I know one thing, humans don't like suffering. They'll do anything not to suffer. And that's why there's such an extremely high level of addiction. Some people think of addiction as being opiates, but no, addiction is your phone. Addiction is your food. Addiction especially is what's in the processed foods. Just like the cigarette industry, addict a customer and you've got a customer for life. So people are very, very deceived on so many levels. So what happens is this is a house of cards. And if you take one of those cards out, the whole thing falls. And I know because I was in that position, and it's extremely frightening, disorienting. You get physically sick, you get emotionally sick. And then the only place to go is mental health. They're going to pump you full of all kinds of drugs. And I'm not saying you should or shouldn't take drugs. That's not my point. But, you know, pump you full of all kinds of drugs to shut down your natural centers so that you can keep perceiving what's real, so that you can perceive what's not real is real. And so we've been really, really messed up on so many levels. And it's painful to wake up. It's uncomfortable. It's messy. If you care about what your community thinks of you, or you belong to a church, or you've been in any of those different situations for most of your life, and suddenly you lose everything. You lose everybody. You lose your job. You lose your family. You lose everything until you learn to rebuild. And that is why my most recent mission is to provide services and products. This is not a sales pitch, because first of all, the Quantum Health Transformation Program is absolutely
Before free. You continue, please do a sales pitch. Before you continue, I was just going to say, I want you now to shamelessly advertise your wares. Do it. Let the people.
Okay, so what I did, what's really interesting is I received a download back in 2013. It took me 2 years to process it in a way that I could present the information to humanity. And I had to get a website. It's cost me thousands of dollars. I have not made a dime. I have lost about $40,000 bringing my services and products to humanity. And I don't begrudge it at all. It's only friggin' money. It's not even real anyway. So I was happy with the trade. But anyway, so this program, it's a 9-step program. It's called Quantum Health Transformation. The 2.0 is out now, and I'm working on the 3.0, because as I understand more and as the needs of the population change. Anyway, so long story short, that program is absolutely free. You can download it from my website. There's a playlist on my YouTube channel. My YouTube and my Odyssey are both Karen Holton TV. I've kept my name the same so that I'm easy to find. My website is www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. I'm a different kind of health coach, and that's KarenHolton, healthcoach.com. It's absolutely free. And I've got tons and tons of podcasts that I have made apart from my show. And I also want to talk about that, but a lot of podcasts to help you. Like right now, I've just produced 2 podcasts on how to take a therapeutic bath. People might wonder, what's that all about? Well, watch it. It'll blow your mind how many things you can do to improve your mind, your health, your spiritual contact, your physical health, just by taking a bath. Now, my show, I had actually 3 shows, but I'm focusing now back on just my one show. It's called the Quantum Guide Show. Actually, Gloria's going to be my guest next week.
Yes, I'm on it.
And it's interviews with awakened masters. Now, these are not perfect people. None of these people are perfect, but they woke up. The house of cards came down. They survived it. They got through it. They became strong. And then they went, aha, I have a mission to help other people on earth. And this is what they're doing in all different ways.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah. And so I'm really excited about that. Now, I also sell orgone generators, but I'm not able to make them anymore. So what I have is what's left. And I'm not going to get into that right now because I would take another whole podcast.
That's absolutely. You shamelessly sold your wares there, and it's wonderful.
My God.
So go on then. Go on.
Well, actually, my extraterrestrial guides are the ones who alerted me to orgone generators and how powerful they are and how to make them properly. So a friend of mine made them. I designed them. My friend made them. So they're ethically sourced. They're handmade, and they're completely inert. And I have different shapes and sizes for different purposes. And I have a whole line of them that are great for taking in the bath because they restructure the water. They influence your body. They influence the water. And then when you pull the plug, it takes all that beautiful energy down the drain and back into Mother Earth where it belongs. And by the way, folks, if you're being told that there's a water shortage on Earth, that's bullshit. This is a fucking water planet. Pardon my language. It's a water planet. Don't tell me there's a water shortage. It evaporates up into the sky and it rains back down, and it's a never-ending cycle. Sorry, I went off too far on that one.
No, you haven't. I hear you. I mean, here in the UK, we find it hilarious when they tell us, not very often though, they tell us on this little island, we have a water shortage. It's not very often because all it does here is piss down, 12 months a year. It's like, and I see you guys in the USA putting your pictures out in the sun and going, I so hate you. So yeah, we very rarely we get a water shortage. No, you've shamelessly advertised your wares, and so you should. For anyone watching the podcast, you know how to get hold of Karen and her freebies that she's got out there. And Karen, this has been the most happy, joyous conversation. I knew it would be. And I knew if I chipped away, you would come out with some amazing expressions of your reality, your truth. And I'm truly grateful for that. Okay. And I look forward to being on your show next week. Be nice to me.
I get to put you on the hot side. The other thing I just want to quickly say is I am not an unusually special, blessed person. I've made every mistake you could make. I'm not a perfect person. You can all do what I do, what Gloria does. You can do what we do, and we'll show you how. Yeah, and I'm telling you, it makes all the shitty stuff just go away. It just doesn't exist.
And no one's perfect. I still make boobies, and I go, fuck, not again. I'm going to do it. It's just like the program comes up, and you go, oh, wow. And you go, oh, I thought I dealt with that shit. No, I didn't. Oh, no. But it's in a lighter vibration that your perception is aware of what is truly going on. It's just like walking past and looking in the mirror going, oh, fuck, I need to deal with it. Wash my hair. It becomes lighter, and there's no...
It does. And the recovery is shorter and shorter every time you do it. Those are just like echoes of the past. That's like old bad programming that hasn't been fully flushed yet. Yeah. But
that's all it is. But I see it now in a humorous way. And someone's going, oh shit, I did that. Oh my God, I'm laughing. I go, oh my God, I did that. Especially when I go back to me playing the victim and winning. I won the Oscars. I definitely won the Oscars on that one. So yeah, and we are doing what we're supposed to do. It's amazing when we're younger, we say, oh, we're going to do this, and it's all materialistic, whatever. And then when you finally get there, you just do what you naturally do. You help another. There's no motive. There's no benefit. There's no outcome. There's no nothing. And you just say, I'm going to create this, and it just created. It's the beauty, I think, through self-realization that we are free, divine. I always say we are the gods. we are more than what we've been told we are. And by making them choices and being brave, because you've got to be brave, and it's fun, like being a child. Oh shit, I'm really going to do this, I'm going to do it. And boom, and then all of a sudden it changes, your whole reality shifts. So thank you so much, my lovely.
Thank you so much for the privilege of being on your show. I love it.
Thank you, lovely. Right, thank you everyone for watching the podcast. I'm not sure when it comes out. It'll be more like in a couple of weeks from now. So it'll be, we're time traveling again, aren't we? Here it is. Just, I can't even get more confused than what I am at the moment. Remember, Inception Podcast is on the Forbidden Knowledge News Network. There are some amazing podcasts there. There is Forbidden Knowledge News, Beyond Classified, Day Zero, Dawson Time, Raised by Giants, Moi, Understanding Propaganda, and I'm starting to understand propaganda better now. Thank you to Corey Hughes. The Quantum Guide Show, and Going Down the Rabbit Hole. So I'd like to thank you for watching us, and till next time I have a conversation with another amazing being. It's bye from me. Bye, guys.